fans of the Survivor Super Fun Time Show. This is Kevin from the Super Fun Time Show, and today we have an awesome episode with you. This is episode 10 of Survivor 46. This episode was big, and it'll probably go down in history for having the biggest meltdown in the history of Survivor during a reward challenge. Right now, I didn't intend on wearing these this time around because last recap, I wore these glasses. But this time around, I feel like I have to, considering Liz is the castaway that ended up having that big breakdown. And we're going to talk a lot about that and a few other things, particularly around Q and, of course, Tiffany as we get through this recap episode. But first, remember, please hit the subscribe button to be a member of this community. I greatly appreciate it. Whenever you hit the subscribe button, you comment, you like, anything positive like that, it greatly helps this channel grow. And I love talking about the game, and I love to continue talking about the game, especially as the community grows. So make sure to hit that. All right, jumping right into the episode, we have kind of the fallout of the Hunter Tribal Council. Really, it was everyone coming back and talking about why Hunter is a big dodo for not playing his idol if he had an idol, because everyone assumes that he had one, but they don't know for sure. And if he did, why didn't he play it? Which has become an epidemic in this game. Jem was voted out first without using her idol at the Siga tribe, and Hunter, who said he had an idol, which he did, just got voted out without using his own, even when everyone, including Hunter, knew a lot of votes were coming his way. The person who really escaped was Q. Q has been used as a smokescreen by so many different players so far. He should have been voted out probably 2 votes ago. This time around, he is kind of stuck around, but he's on his own. The Yanu 3, that's not existent anymore. Kenzie and Tiff don't want anything to do with him. And Liz, who just voted for Q, thinking that he was going to go, she got left out of the major vote. So she doesn't really like him that much either, at least right now. We'll see how that develops throughout the rest of it, but everyone seems pretty content on leaving Q on his own little island. The only one who's an exception to that is Maria. Maria is doing the classic thing where she is creating open lines of communication with someone on the outs in order to hopefully cultivate a friendship that's going to help her in the game. The best example of this I can think of off the top of my head is Survivor 45 on the Lulu beach when everything was kind of falling apart. Emily was very much on the bottom, and Caleb, who was in the majority, had the foresight to try to forge a relationship with Emily, and ended up paying off incredibly because Emily told Caleb not long after, by the way, Sabaya is trying to get rid of you. And that flipped everything around to the point where Emily and Caleb are the only ones from Lulu who ended up making the merge. So it was very fruitful. And now Maria talking to Q like this, we have to see if it will be as fruitful as maybe Maria does. But I think we can safely say by the end of this recap, we'll know that at least it paid off in the short term, if not in the long term. It seems like this was a good move by Maria because she has Charlie as her tight #1 ally, Ben kind of on the outskirts, and she has a good working relationship with everyone at this moment. And adding Q into the mix could be great because everyone wants Q gone. And Q, yeah, he runs his mouth because he's just kind of a little chaotic. But sometimes that's okay. Sometimes you need a little chaos in order to advance your game, especially as it gets really tight down to 8 or so people. I consider this a really good move by Maria, but the thing is you have to watch that everyone doesn't notice what you're doing. And I think people have seen it, but I don't know if everyone is too zeroed in and worried about that. They probably think Maria is just this, really nice, sweet mom who just wants to be loving. However, I think after this episode, people may start to feel a little differently about Maria, but we will see. It goes pretty much straight into the reward challenge for the episode, which normally Survivor doesn't do split rewards and immunities so much anymore, but this one was a big one. This is the one that was sponsored by Applebees. Whoever wins gets to have a ton of Applebees. They get to have some wings, they get to have the shark bowl, and the bourbon burger. A burger that is so special. Liz apparently has a Wednesday ritual of like watching Survivor and having bourbon burgers with her daughter every week at home. So this is a big reward for good old Liz. And for someone who doesn't really eat in this game, it's a pretty big W, right? Like production had to know she really wanted this. But the challenge goes, Liz actually almost wins. She gets pretty close. But the winner is Q, the person nobody really likes or wants to win at this point. And Q gets to choose a person. He says, I want to bring the family back. So he chooses Tiffany, which is a big surprise. No one expected Tiffany, especially Tiffany. And then from there, Q said, you know what? I'm going to go with the person that's been being nice to me, genuinely, and that's Maria. And at this point, Liz is dying. She's been, yelling. She already said, Q, I will beg in order to be chosen. And Q chose Maria instead. And then Probst, who loves a little bit of controversy, he said, you know what, Q? You get to pick a third person. And this is when Liz is going to lose her mind. She's practically shooting into space with all the energy that's built up in her body. Her blood is boiling if she doesn't get picked. And then Q chooses Kenzie. Kenzie, which again is part of the bringing the family back together. And it's arguably smart move by Q on that in that part, but we'll dissect that a little bit. Obviously, Liz made it very obvious as to what she wanted to happen, which was her getting picked. She felt she should get it because she hasn't eaten, and that's just the thing to do. And a different perspective of why Liz is upset with Q and feels as though Q owes it to her is Q has indirectly or directly, however your perspective is, blown up her game. Liz, last vote, she was trying to vote out Q, but some of what Q's done shifted the votes so much that people didn't vote for Q. So that messed up the plan for her. And the vote before that, she actually was responsible for Tevin going pretty much. But everyone was so confused with Q saying, you should vote me out, that Tevin, it looks like he got voted out by like ricochet or circumstance and not by Liz targeting Tevin, her number one ally. So now she lost her number one ally, and she lost Hunter as well, and she's getting like no credit for any of it. So everything is kind of blowing up for Liz, and it's all because of Q one way or another. And then this thing that's really emotional that ties her to her daughter, aside from nourishing her actual stomach, she has just been denied by the same guy that's been ruining her game actively. Now, you could argue she's ruining her own game, which there's some validity to that probably, but Q is the center, the foundational piece of that falling apart. If you had to blame it on one person that's not Liz, it's Q. So she lashed out in what's going to be one of the most epic, remembered lashings, rantings, whatever you want to say, in the history of the game. Was it deserved? Realistically, no. Q, it was his reward. He could choose whoever he wanted. I think everyone agrees with that. I think even Liz would agree with that now at this point. It was Q's to choose. He can strategically use it however he wants. He felt it was going to play out better if he could unite the Yanu 3 once again and pair them with the Siga 3. Liz did vote for Q in the previous tribal council, so why would Q want to do anything for Liz? And I get that. Fully understand where Q's coming from. I don't think he was wrong, but boy, did he really lean into it. So I got to give him credit for that. Massive stones to do that. And at the sanctuary where they were having all this delicious food, everyone couldn't fill it. The funniest part of it was they brought out the bourbon burger last and nobody could eat it. They were so full. Nobody ate the thing that Liz like freaked out over, basically. So that was really funny to watch that from home. If I was Liz, I'd be furious. I mean, when they all came back from the sanctuary and they're telling the details, everyone's like, yeah, I couldn't actually eat the burger. And Liz just sitting there just looking miserable. I felt for her in that moment. I really did. I really felt for Liz because that's miserable. I feel like I would have left that detail out if I were them, but I don't know. I'm not them. But anyway, dialing it back into time a little bit, at the sanctuary, the big deal was they were talking about strategy. Maria, the Yanu 3. They come to a conclusion as a whole group. They're like, all right, so let's go for Liz and Venus next, right? Everyone's on board. But the thing is, once Q walks away, Tiff and Kenzie are like, yeah, we're not stupid. As Kenzie said, it's like an abusive boyfriend. It's like, yeah, just because you gave me a little bit of food, do you think I'm going to forget everything that's happened to me in the past with you? It's like, you've left me out of half the votes in this game. I'm smarter than that. And Tiffany and Kenzie are on the same page in that. So realistically, they tell Maria, we want to go Q. So I am not on board with everything we just said publicly in front of Q. We still want to go Q. They come back to camp. Charlie and Maria, those devilish twosome, they get together and Maria gives the lowdown, saying, yeah, Q thinks it's, Siga and Yanu versus Nami. But realistically, Yanu is trying to stab Q in the back. Now, Charlie, interestingly enough, says, I don't want to put off the Tiffany plan. I still want to vote for Tiffany and blindside her tonight. And Maria seems to be on board. Maria talks to Q about it. Everyone seems like they're kind of on board, but they have to do immunity first. And the immunity challenge is one of those ones where, it's basically the strongest grip. You hold onto your bar so the bucket doesn't fall down and break. Probably the most famous instance of this challenge is Survivor 43, where the record holder, Mike Gabler, the eventual winner of Survivor 43, ended up winning the challenge for 30. He went 38 minutes, and he was saying all kinds of fun stuff, and they gave a call back to that during the episode. But before we got to that, Probst, offered another alternative. He said, okay, well, there was that big outburst at the reward challenge. So I'm going to give you one more chance to get rice. Will 4 of you sit out of this challenge in order to get this bag of rice? Kenzie stepped up right away because I think she knew it probably wasn't her challenge. So she jumped in, then Liz jumped in, and no one else would do it. So Probst upped it again, which maybe he felt really bad. I don't know. This is weird that Probst threw this in, but it was individual rice jars. He was like, all right, well, any of you step out, you get an individual rice jar, which is interesting to me. I don't know why he did that. Maybe they were questioning Liz's sanity at that point or something, because that seems like too much. Like offering rice twice and then the individual jars, so really 3 times if you want to break it down. I'm very surprised by that. Very, very surprised indeed. But in the end, because it was individual, Liz is the only one who stepped out thinking maybe she wasn't going to win the challenge. She got her own individual jar of rice. I'm sure that helped her quite a bit as the game winds down to only a week, 6 days, something like that left in the game. It's pretty huge. Everyone kind of, one by one starts dropping out till eventually we get to a final 2 of Tiffany and Charlie. Charlie, the previous winner of immunity, and Tiffany, who hasn't moved the whole time. Charlie's not in danger of being voted out, but Tiffany has her name being thrown out quite a bit. So she has to win, otherwise she's going home. People don't know that necessarily, but that is the case. Tiffany, last second, stiff as a stone, falls apart. Charlie wins the challenge and becomes the back-to-back winner of immunity. And, did not break Mike Gabler's record. He's showing a little bit of challenge dominance. I mean, as a quick commentary, early on in the season, it was very annoying to watch Charlie on screen because despite Charlie being a good guy, all they gave him was Taylor Swift stuff. He's the Taylor Swift guy. So when that was all we got from him, it was boring. And I know for a fact, he probably talked about Taylor Swift like this amount of time out of a huge game. But producers didn't know what to do because Siga didn't lose. But now that the game has begun, everyone's going to tribal council. We get to flesh out personalities a little bit and get to learn more. And I've learned that Charlie is amazing, exactly like I thought it would be. He's got a brilliant strategic mind. He's very good at challenges. And he and Maria are the only duo that's really left. And they're kicking butt. Hopefully that can stay the same after this episode recap is finished. They go back to camp. Obviously, Q didn't win immunity, and neither did Tiff. So the biggest targets are on the board. At this point, this is when the real moving and shaking from Maria and Charlie gets going, where they get Ben on board. Ben's like, this is what we need to do. We need to vote out Tiff and get rid of her idol. Got Q on board, so 4-4. Now, the last piece, they know Kenzie wants to vote out Tiffany, but Kenzie had already in this episode said, well, Tiffany's got the idol. So I don't think it's worth the risk right now to do it. Maria takes that and says, all right, well, I'm just going to do it anyway. And she pulls in Liz instead. But we don't know that Liz is pulled in until essentially the vote. I think there was a huge smokescreen at Tribal Council where everyone's saying Q sucks. We know Q's going to go. There's an agreement about one person needing to go, and they all mean Q. The person that ends up being voted out from this episode is boom, boom, boom. Tiffany is voted out of the game without playing her idol, being the 3rd person voted out this season. Everyone, unanimous, 100%, has been voted out of this game with an idol in their pocket. It's amazing. Jem and Siga, Hunter with the Nami, and Tiffany with the Yanu idol. All 3 idols have been taken out of the game. But it's amazing that this vote came down to Q and Tiffany ended up biting the dust, with the real only person or people that were shocked by it were Kenzie and Venus. And Venus has been out of so many votes that I'm wondering how she's reacting because she hasn't gotten quite as much time in the last episode or 2. Although I will say she's genuinely made me laugh a whole bunch in the last 2 episodes. I think she's really fun and I really like Venus. And she's going to stick around. I don't think she's going anywhere anytime soon because I don't think anyone would want to get rid of Venus. I think you probably beat her in the final tribal if you take her. Kind of like Q. Although Q is really he's probably going to impress people on the jury at this rate. But I think that there's a really fun ending that's shaping up here. Charlie and Maria are showing dominance at this point as a duo. People aren't really saying their names, and they're pulling in people that are difficult to work with at different points. Kenzie looks like she's on the outs in a way. However, when Tiffany was voted out, I think she always just kind of smiles and can work with everything, but she didn't look like she was horrified, like her game was done. I think Kenzie is a fighter. I think she's a social chameleon. I think she's going to be fine. So I think she's on the up. I still think she's my most likely winner. However, the path looks a lot different right now, I think. But she's on her own, which in a way is an advantage because Charlie and Maria may want to scoop her up. And there's some other folks that may just want to scoop her up. So I think it's actually it probably benefited her game more than it didn't. Q's all over the place. I love watching Q. He's real fun. Ben, again, I still don't think he can really win, but we'll see how he shakes out. Liz, I don't know what Liz's future is. I think she's a finalist. I do. I just don't think she can win at this point. It's very interesting how this is going. I mean, I was heartbroken for Tiffany to go, though. I will say that. She was my winner pick. Tiffany straight up was my winner pick. I thought she had everything going. Although the last 2 episodes, I got a little shakier about it. Because she should have played her idol probably even 2 episodes ago. Like she said, it was just a target. Should have gotten that target off her back, but she didn't do that. She got a little greedy. She tried to stretch out the idol just like Hunter did. And it really sucks because I love Tiff. I love what she brought to the game. She found her idol immediately. She's crazy smart, crazy creative. The twosome of Kenzie and Tiffany was like my favorite twosome of this season by far. And I was just hoping for a little bit more, but that's okay. It's all right. There's plenty of awesome people left in the game. We're going to have a really great finish no matter what. I'm pretty confident of that. And it's going to be really, really, really exciting. But what did you think of that vote? Were you devastated? Were you really happy Charlie and Maria kind of got another leg up on this? Because you have to watch out now that their names haven't been thrown out, but Charlie's won 2 immunities. Maria is making moves. This is another vote that Maria has dictated very quietly that is bankable by the time she gets the final tribal. Do you think that she is putting Charlie and her into danger zone? And is Charlie putting himself into danger zone by winning these individual immunity challenges? Because that gets really, really tiring for people if someone continues to be safe and just get a free pass to the next episode. And also remember, Mike Gabler, the winner of Survivor 43, who I happen to mention because of the grip challenge this past episode, he is our kind of guest correspondent who does the hiding in plain sight winner of the week. And for episode 10, he sent in his video as to who he thinks is the #1 hiding in plain sight player for this week. And we're going to check it out. It's a great one.
Hiding in plain sight!
Howdy, Super Fun Time Nation. It's Gabler, all the way from the Alligator Swamp here, giving you my pick of the week for this week. And wow, it was a lot to process last night, but I gotta tell you, I think I figured it out. I think this week it is Charlie who's hiding in plain sight. Now, before you say, hey, he won individual immunity, how can that be? That's a higher threat level. It's because there was so much craziness going on in that reward challenge with Liz, with Q, with Applebees. Even Maria's threat level rose a bit because people saw her politicking, talking, making moves. And meanwhile, Charlie, who is becoming a Charlie the Challenge Beast, getting out there, fist bump for the grip challenge win, by the way. And, you know, he's smart. He's thinking about things. He's already got ways to get to the final 3. I know he's thinking about that right now. And he is in the catbird seat, looking down at every single opportunity, every avenue he's got to get deeper in the game. He's voting the right way. People are going home. Charlie's riding high. Charlie is the Super Fun Time hiding in plain sight pick of the week. Gabler out. Bye-bye.
Hiding in plain sight!
Absolutely. I have to agree. For me, this week it was between Charlie and it was between Maria. And I think either one of them probably could have been the right answer, but Charlie's doing a lot behind the scenes. And somehow he's really is hiding in plain sight. He's winning immunities and he's got a lot of really good relationships, but no one seems to be quite looking at him yet. I don't know if it'll stay that way moving forward, but for now, very clear this guy is not as targeted as he probably should be. But that's going to do it. Hope you all have an amazing day, everyone. Thanks so much for watching. Take care. And remember, keep it super fun, everybody. Bye.